Hello, everyone. This is Lori Lee Rourke from It's Not About Food podcast. And today we're continuing our lecture about what to do on the mountain of recovery. So just to recap, last time we talked about how recovery can feel like you're climbing up a mountain and going through rivers, and you're going through streams, and you're going through rock climbing, and you're going down a river, and you're going up a rock climb, and you're going around and around, and you get lost in a snowstorm, and you don't know what in the world is happening to you. But the whole point of it is to learn how to take yourself through all the things that will come up when you're going to recover from something, all the feelings, all the spiritual, crises that you'll have, all the bodily stuff that will happen to you, and how do you stay with yourself as you go through that. So we talked about the top of the mountain, which is when that means that you have the behavior that you're trying to recover from, and you have all the feelings. And you're not quite there about knowing how to let go of the behavior and how to have the feelings without the behavior. So at some point, you have to not do the behavior and go through that horrible, most fucked place at the top of the mountain, is what we call it, where you have all your feelings and all the behaviors, and you just don't feel like you can get through it at all. So we're going to talk about 10 things to do when you hit the top of the mountain. The first thing is stay connected to you. Stay connected with yourself. Don't abandon yourself. I was really good about, if things happened, I would jump ship. I would leave myself I'd throw myself to the curb and just pretend like I didn't even know myself. I was so upset with myself that I came to a top of the mountain, or I had behaviors and I had feelings, and I didn't want either one of them. So as best you can, stay with yourself, pat yourself on your chest, tell yourself you love you, you got you, you're on your own side, things will be okay, you'll get through this, you've been through other stuff, and it'll be okay. So the second one is to react lovingly to your body. Don't attack your body. We, in this culture, I learned anyway, that everything was about how thin I should be. So if stuff wasn't working or stuff wasn't okay in my life, a diet would fix that. If I would just lose weight, enough weight, that I looked okay and that could change all over the place, then my problems would be over. And that wasn't really true. What I found is I had to love my body more, accept my body more, be okay with the body that I had, the beautiful human body that was just an amazing, amazing thing. To just be in awe that I had a body, and I was given a body, and this was my body for the rest of my life, that I wouldn't get another one. So it didn't do any good to attack my body. I had to learn to love it, warts and all, wrinkles and all, imperfections and all, whatever, pain and all. So our third thing to do when we hit the top of the mountain is go back to basics. What are the basics of learning how to recover from an eating disorder, or really anything at all, but especially, so we're going to talk about eating disorders. So if you have a problem with eating and your body, and you do not like either one of those things because you're using them to take care of your feelings, go back to basics. Question number 1, am I hungry? Yes or no? What in the whole wide world? Yes, I am hungry. What in the whole wide world would this body like to eat at this moment? What is that? And third, you get that food, and am I satisfied? Am I done? Is this enough food of that kind at this time with this hunger? It takes a long time to relearn it if you've had an eating disorder, because we just don't pay attention to hunger and fullness and satisfaction. And what do our bodies want? We tell it what it wants, and we tell it when to stop, and we tell it when to start. So this is a whole other thing, listening to the body that you have, listening to hunger, fullness, and satisfaction, and then following the lead of the body. The body goes first. You can trust your body to tell you. If you trust your body, you will not starve to death. Trusting my eating disorder brain did take me to almost starving to death. So I had to learn the difference of those two things. And I was able to, but it took a while. The fourth thing is to be willing to feel your feelings. Don't judge your feelings. So I had like feelings that were okay and feelings not okay that I learned as a very young child. So okay was happy. Not okay was sad. Okay was funny. Not okay, all teary and crying. Okay was neutral. And not okay was anything that made any adult around me upset. So too loud or too happy or too cryy or too something was not okay with the people around me. So I learned to either have very small feelings, keep them to myself, or no feelings at all. And of course, I couldn't do that for long, and I learned how to escape from them at a very young age. For me, I used books. I would read, and I would be in a different land, and I would not come out. Reading is great, but I used it as a tool to not have feelings. I could have the feelings while I'm reading the book, but, I couldn't have feelings just out in the wild. The fifth one is to trust the process. This is a huge process. Recovering from any addiction or any way of coping that doesn't really work, in the long run or even harms you. Eating disorders, smoking, porn, going online for way too long, spending money that you don't have, having affairs, whatever it is that you're using to get through the dark night of the soul, there's a process to it. You can't just put stuff down until you've built this way of coping without it. It's like, jerking a blanket away from a baby before they're ready to let that blanket go. Will bring everyone a lot of sorrow. The baby won't be happy. The parents are not happy. No one's happy if the baby doesn't have his blankie. So you have to understand that and know what you're using that for. And little by little, you'll be able to let it go. So your process is your process and may not look like anybody else's process. So mine kind of followed this kind of mountain, kind of followed. That's how I came up with the idea. Carol and I both came up with the idea of the mountain and put all the things in there that helped us with our own recovery. But, everybody's different. And so maybe the way that you go through your process will be completely different, which is fine. What you want is the end result is to be free of the addiction or the thing that is keeping you away from realizing how truly magnificent you are and how wonderful your body is and your spirit and what a joy all of your feelings can be. So the sixth thing is to connect with your spirit. There is a really good reason why you're here on earth. And it's probably not to just be able to fit into a bikini. It's a lot more than that. It is learning how to be in the world, to be who you are. Let yourself walk amongst the other humans and be okay. Let go of shame. Let go of sadness over who you are. And instead revel in who you really are. Find out who you really are. That is connecting with your spirit. That we all have it in here, and it's connected to each other. our spirit, my spirit talks to another person's spirit, and they get along pretty well. And then that helps me get along well too. And however way you want to think about spirit, if it's God or if it's a higher power, or it's just the universe, or it's this wonderful place within us that tells us that we're okay and we're loved and we're cherished. Whatever it is. But to know that you're not alone. You are not alone in this disorder. You're not alone in this addiction. There are people out there that have gone before you, showed the way, and you can follow them. And then once you get some recovery under your belt, you can turn around and grab the person behind you. And that to me is one of the most beautiful ideas, or the most beautiful showing of spirit that there is. Number 7 is to learn how to take care of yourself, how to be with your own struggles and what to do when you are in them. Feel your feelings. Be okay that you need to put down a boundary. So, for instance, it's sort of like being able to tell a friend, I can't really do that. I'm going to be busy, or not even an excuse. My peer educators of Beyond Hunger, we go into schools and talk about eating disorders and body hatred. And I tell them when we first start the year of a school year, that they're allowed to tell me that they cannot do something. So if I book a school and they can't go, they can say, I'm not going to be able to do that. And they don't have to give me a million reasons or write a dissertation of why they can't do it. I tell them no is a complete sentence, that they can have boundaries in their life. They get to do that even at 15 or 17. They get to have their own autonomy, and they can say, yes, I can do this, or no, I cannot. And what happens is I'll get really busy, and we'll have a lot of schools that want us to come in, and I'll ask them if they can do it, and they'll say no. And then I go, are you sure you can't? And they say back to me, Laura Lee, no is a complete sentence. So we teach the youth what we need to learn, that's for sure. But anyway, so the point is take care of yourself. If you need to put down a boundary, do it. If you need to, quit your job, go back to school, do that. If you need to stop going to school but get a job, do whatever you need to do. Figure out what it is that's going to make you happy, what's going to fulfill you, what is your best, your best experience of you, and do that. Let yourself do that. The 8th one is to simplify your life as much as possible. Of course, this is not that easy in the world we live in. But there's a great saying of keep it simple. That's a saying in AA that I saw when I was first getting sober. There's also don't sweat the small stuff. And guess what? Almost everything is small stuff. Sort of like take it down to the most simple way of being. Don't make it more complicated than it already is. Don't look for trouble. Of course, if trouble comes, take care of yourself, take care of the trouble, but really simplify your life, because you are doing a huge thing. You are trying to change lifelong behaviors and sometimes generational behaviors. So give yourself a big break. Keep it simple. Ask yourself the most simple things. Am I tired? Am I sleepy? Am I hungry? Do I need to pee? Do I want to go for a walk? Where is a kitty that I can pet? Keep it really, really simple. The 9th thing to do when you find yourself at the top of the mountain, and this is really hard for a lot of us, ask for help. Get help. Get a therapist, get a trusted friend. talk to a sponsor, talk to your parents, whatever. Start talking. Don't hide in a closet of despair. If, when I was suffering from my eating disorder, somebody took a big chance to tell me that they were very worried about me, that they felt like I was not okay, and they didn't know what to do about that. Now, at first, I hated that person and did not want to hear anything that person had to say. But it sort of got in there, and eventually, not very long, really, I asked for help, and I got help, and I stayed with help. And I went through all the things you have to do to sort of look at your eating disorder, look at your alcoholism, look at your crazy way that you do relationships or money. Look it right in the face and have somebody to help you walk through and tease out what it is that you're trying to do and what it is you want to do. And I was a much better person in order to find help, ask for help, get help. And I did get help. The last one is to breathe acceptance. This is all about acceptance. Accept what is. It's like there's a saying, radical acceptance. It's radical to think that if you hate your body, that you're going to love your body. Yeah, right, I thought to myself. That if you feel like you're in a too big of a body, you're going to let that whole diet thing go. Yeah, I didn't think so, or that when I went into AA in 1978 and I went to my first meeting, I really thought they were going to tell me how to drink like a normal person. So that's what I went for, because had I known they were going to say, oh no, you cannot drink anymore, well, I don't think I would have gone. And it's the same thing with the recovery of an eating disorder or money or relationships or any of the other stuff that we're dealing with. It's like we're having to learn how to do our lives without taking these other things to extreme. So I had to learn how to feed myself. I did not have to learn how to drink 3 times a day, but I certainly did have to learn how to eat 3 times a day. I didn't have to learn how to, not ever use money again, because I don't know where I would live if I couldn't use, legal Tinder. So I had to learn how to use it, how to do it in a creative, loving, accepting, and grown-up way. So breathing acceptance means this is true for me right now. This is where I am. Okay, this is what I have to work with right now. Isn't that interesting? And be okay with where you are. You're not going to stay stuck here forever. The only thing that the Buddhists say, is the only thing that's for sure is that change will happen. So hopefully good change. Steer it in that way. The most important thing you can do is learn acceptance. Accept your body, accept your process, accept your life, accept who you are as a person, accept everything that happens. Because guess what? We are not in charge. I know, that sounds terrible. But we're not. We're not in charge. We can love our way through our life without knowing what is really going to ever happen to us. I might get cancer. I might get hit by a bus. I might live until I'm 105. Who knows? I don't know. So there has to be an acceptance of every day as it is, and figure out how to take care of myself with whatever it is that is happening. The more I can accept, the more I can love, the more I can move through my life without a lot of the stress and trauma that have been in my life, that has been there. So I can let go and let things be and figure out how to take care of myself when it's hard and to rejoice when it's not. Thank you so much. Please become a Patreon member, and you can go on my website, lauraleerourke.com. Get in touch with me there if you want any more information on what to do on the top of the mountain. And take care of yourself, and we'll see you next month.